Carry on.
So, yeah, before I answer that question, I just want to touch on two more points in relation to challenges. When I look at employers, the Equality Act is a push. The Equality Act of 2010 is a push for employers to ensure that their organizations are representative of the population that they serve. But what you find is that, even with this collective goal, that isn't happening. And it becomes a challenge for BME people.
Yes.
In addition to the challenges that they face, what you find is that their ethnicity become a barrier to achieving progression, to achieving their goals or their aspiration in any workplace. Whilst other people have a glass ceiling, a concrete ceiling. At least a glass ceiling, you have hope that it's going to shatter one day and you will just.
Yes.
But a concrete ceiling will need a lot of breaking down and bulldozing for you to actually, penetrate it. People are unable to do that even in the best of their ability because of the structures in the workplace which prevent them from doing this. And these structures could be not having equal access to training as their white counterparts. It could be not having a sponsor. There's been a lot of talks about mentoring. Mentoring is okay, but even when you're mentored to death, if you don't have a sponsor, you're not going to go anywhere. The difference between a mentor and a sponsor is the fact that a mentor is the one coaching you and giving you the right skills to be able to thrive in the job you do. A sponsor is the one who actually speaks about you behind closed doors, who puts in a good word for you to say, Juliet's got the skills, she can lead that project, put her in charge of it. This time, our white colleagues, but it doesn't happen for us. Yes. And when we talk about sponsorship for a Black person, what you hear is, well, we have to be fair. People suddenly start talking about fairness, but this is naturally happens for white colleagues, but it doesn't happen for Black colleagues. So it is important that people take all of this on board. When you apply for jobs, even when you put in your very best, and this is not about discouraging anybody who wants to apply for a job. Before I went to work at the university, I didn't think someone like me could work at the university. You've got to believe in yourself first. Try. Then there are some people I will say to, oh, this job just come out at the university or come out in this organization that I'm working for. Why don't you apply? You've got the skills. They'll say, oh, I won't apply because I've applied 500 times and I've never been shortlisted. So the challenge there is how many of us go back to check why they haven't been shortlisted? How many actually go back to do our homework to say, how come this person who's Black or ethnic minority is getting shortlisted and I'm not? We make the same mistake over and over again. We also have the challenges, especially when you're an immigrant in a new country. The way you've been trained in your own country is different.
Yes.
You will compare your skills and education with somebody who's a doctor, who's had a UK degree. If you've had a degree in Africa, it's not the same. Yes, you qualified, they are qualified. But at the end of the day, what you find is that if you start doing your training for your exam or your professional qualification to be able to work in the UK, there are things the person who did their degree in the UK will already know that you're not going to know. And that already creates a challenge for you, because the time you are spending picking up the ropes in those areas, that person is at the next level because they trained here and they are more aware. They did their placements in the hospitals here, so they know all those things. So I can go on, talking about, there are loads and loads of them, but it all depends on how you look at it and the an area of work.
Yeah. Do you think over the years, because I know you've been doing this now for quite a while, and going back to my question, do you think that things have changed, got better, or do you think that things have got worse over the years? Any changes at all?
I don't think things have changed, and I don't think they've got worse. The reason I say I don't think they've got I don't think they've got worse is because there is always a trigger. The reason it looks like things have got worse is because immigration has become a major political tool. Every government gets into power, and one of the things they promise is how they will reduce the number of illegal immigrants. And as long as immigration is continually a political tool, it will look like things have got worse. And I also believe that we now live in an era where the government is openly being racist and condoning racist tendencies and not tackling issues about racism. Look at what's happening in America. And even back home here, look at the UKIP, parties that, openly talk about racism as one of the things they thrive on, And
it's openly acceptable.
Exactly. So when you see things like that and the law maybe not necessarily attacking those parties or giving them guiding principles on which they should operate, or taking action against them when they are out of order, except maybe for the cases that we hear about that happened publicly that they can't hide, then it makes it look like things have got worse, but these things have always been there. Those same socially constructed system, institutional racist systems have always been there.
Been there. And nothing has changed since.
Nothing has changed. And the reason nothing has changed is because it's the same mindset.
The same mindset. People is still the same people.
Exactly.
Still the same institution.
And the mindset, of somebody my age, if I'm a white supremacist and my children who are teenagers, by the time they are my age, they would have learned the ropes about how to be white supremacists if anybody doesn't teach them the opposite. So it's passed from one generation to the other.
To another. Wow. Going back to workplaces, and talking about inclusiveness, how can employers be inclusive? How can they be seen to be inclusive?
We go on about equality, diversity, inclusion. First of all, I have to talk about these three things because they are linked. Equality doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is going to be equal. That isn't the point. The point isn't about achieving equality for everybody. It's about the opportunities given to people. And what equality means is that in similar situations, people should be treated equitably. It doesn't mean that we will be equal. We can never be equal, because if I'm a Black woman and you are a white woman, we can never be equal. If I'm a blind woman and you are a sighted woman, We can never be equal. So it's about equitability. In the same situation, if I'm a Black woman, I should be given the same opportunity as you. And my skills and qualifications mean that I get that job, then you offer it to me if I perform better. But often that doesn't happen because of unconscious bias, or
That's
should
right.
conscious bias. And something else, when you look at diversity, diversity is beautiful. We live in a country where we have people from different parts of the world, people from different places. It's a melting pot of cultures and languages, a melting pot of beautiful aspects of those cultures that we live with every day. And it's something that needs to be valued and used for positive ends rather than it creating a huge difference amongst us. Then you look at inclusion, is that sense of belonging. Do you belong? Do you feel that this country is yours as much as it is for other people? So the reason I want to go through these things is because all of them come together to address the question you've just asked. What should employers be doing? How can they achieve inclusivity? Let's look at a job interview for example. If you apply for a job, you've seen this job, and deep within yourself, you know that that's the job you want. And you know you've got all the skills. You look at the person's specification, you meet all of them, you look at the desirables, you tick most of the boxes. You are bubbling with enthusiasm because you want to apply for this job, and you know that you've got 95% chance, or even better, 98% chance of getting this job. And you go for the interview, feeling really confident that you answered the questions well, and you don't get the job. That is because it wasn't robots that interviewed you. It's because humans interviewed you. So the only way employers can achieve inclusivity is by using blind applications.
Okay, so what are these blind applications,
Blind application is, when I worked with local government, it was used in local government. It's where all the job application forms come in, and the moment they arrive in HR, the front cover is taken off. That is the front cover that has your name and your everything about you, that's your personal details. It's taken out. And HR, we sift through their applications and make sure that you meet the criteria, you've got the correct qualification that you require for that job. So it's for them to sift through. So they are the ones who look at this, your grades and qualifications and skills.
To see if you actually meet the criteria of applying for the job.
Yes.
Okay.
So when they finish all of that,
when all the details are taken away, that is your blind application.
yes. So all the interviewers are left with is your personal statement.
Yes, and then they can judge and make decisions based on that.
Based on that.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That is what they use for shortlisting. When they for shortlisting, the HR people do the shortlisting, because you don't know who you're going to interview. You only see them on that day. So basing that interview on set questions, on a very clear metrics. And a clear metrics is such where every question, they give you suggested answers that the person has to hit as a point. Say it in those exact words. It's what sort of answers do we expect from this person in XYZ areas? Once finishes, the person, you calculate all the scores, and work out the average, and the person with the highest average gets the job. It's doable.
It can only be, yeah. I mean, these are the things that employers should be aiming at. You know, those are the things that they should be doing to make it more fair and make sure that everyone is inclusive. This is why it's called inclusion. You know, how do we include? How inclusive are our workplaces? How do we deal with diversity? This is what we're talking about today. And this is the Mount Moriah Radio. And I've got here Kelechi DB with me, who has been talking about this topic. And Kelechi, I just want to just say thank you so much for coming. I mean, we're coming towards the end of this very show because I think we've been kind of been on it for a while now. During this COVID, you know, I want to bring COVID because obviously everyone is talking about COVID. During this COVID, are we still witnessing, seeing discrimination, seeing diversity, seeing inclusiveness in workplaces? What is going on right now? Just to be honest with what is going on right now.
Well, there's been a lot of press about COVID and how it's brought out a lot of disadvantages. And the only thing I have to say about that is that COVID has affected everybody, not just Black and ethnic minority communities. In terms of the risk of surviving from it, Black and ethnic minority staff stand a very high risk of dying from it because of their genetic makeup. But at the end of the day, I believe that COVID has had an impact on everybody. And it's what we have now is a situation where employers need to be more sensitive because people are working remotely. You don't see them every day. You don't know what they are dealing with. We're all sitting in these Zoom meetings, looking at our faces, and I could brush my hair, slap on some makeup, and I look like everything's okay, and I'm with it. So this particular time, our era, is a time where everybody who is in a supervisory or managerial position needs to touch tabs with their staff, because staff are not small widgets or that you switch on and they start at 9 o'clock, disappear at 5 o'clock. Before they come to work, they've got a life. And after work, they've got a life. And
in between that,
impact on how they perform. People are becoming carers, picking up unpaid caring responsibilities. More people are carers under COVID. Something that we need to be aware of.
Wow.
In terms of finances, people are hitting up their homes more than they would normally afford to because they are working from home. Bills are going up. People are printing papers using their printing facility. Need to look at, yes, they are saving money because we are not all coming to the office, but that needs to be
going somewhere.
It needs to be channeled into supporting staff who are running the business their homes. And going extra miles to fulfill the responsibilities they have as employees. That's just my take on the matter.
Yes, I mean you've kind of mentioned it because you know the ethnic minority groups have been found to be the ones that are suffering more than their colleagues during this time of COVID. And if we are all working from home, I think that employers have the responsibility, you know, of making sure that, you know, those that are working from home are being checked, especially those from the minority ethnic group, that they are being checked on, that things are okay. And also, if some funds can be channeled towards some of the extra costs that is, developing as people are
Mm,
working from home. If those
mm,
costs can be channeled there, that will help a lot, to
mhm,
help even people from the minority group,
mhm,
to help them to work from home and not to be exposed to COVID even more by going
mhm,
out to work. So it's about supporting, it's
mm,
about making sure that people are okay. The welfare of the individual,
mhm,
the individual's well-being should be people's, well, employers' priorities really during this time of COVID. And
mm,
you've touched base on most of this aspect, and I'm really, kind of happy. I'm very pleased with the way you've tackled them. You've talked about diversity, you've talked
mm,
about equality and inclusion in the workplaces, and even outside the workplaces as well. So is a very is a topic of the now. Is a topic of
mm,
the now, and I just want to appreciate you and say thank you so much.
mm,
Kelechi TV, for coming to my show and for enlightening us and for, kind of making sure that people are aware of this. I just
mm.
want to say thank you. Any last thoughts you may have? Because you're coming back to the show again at some point.
Um,
So,
I think in terms of last thoughts, about inclusivity in the workplace, it's a big topic. And apart from blind applications, employers should make promotion processes transparent. So when people get promoted, it's clear what criteria they've been promoted with. And also, um, interview panels need to be diverse so that you have people who represent the diversity of the organization on the interview panel. And it's not all white male interviewing one black woman. You also need to talk about positive action. People don't talk about positive action because it's very well misunderstood. A lot of people confuse it with positive discrimination. It's not the
mm, it's not the same. It's different.
I should borrow the example of Professor Uduak Achibong of Bradford University. She said positive action is like a game you play. Some people have, to win that game, you need 6 seeds, but some people have 4 seeds. So no matter how they play, they will never win.
Mm,
So the way to help them win is to help them to acquire 2 more seeds so that they can have up to 6 seeds and they can compete favorably.
mm,
Nobody is saying you should let the person with 4 seeds win the game. That's not positive action. Positive action is helping the person with 4 seeds to acquire 2 more seeds so they
mm,
can compete favorably.
mm,
That's what it's about. People don't talk about it because it's misunderstood. And we need to have sponsorship for our Black and ethnic minority staff.
mm,
We also need to have safe reporting systems so that when somebody reports an incident of racism or racial microaggression, it is dealt with so
mm.
that it's a deterrent for people who are going to be future perpetrators. So those
Yes.
are my last words, really.
Wow. You
Mm.
see, with that, we're ending the show. And thank you very much for making the time to be here. And we pray that the Lord will bless you. And we're going to invite you again when you're free, because I know you're a very busy woman. When you're free again, we will invite you to take us through the next part, which is part two of this very topic. And before then, God bless you. Keep
Thank you
keeping
very
well,
much for having me.
and thank you for coming. God bless you. And thank you, viewers, for watching Mount Moriah Radio. We'll see you again next week. We will be inviting another special guest in our midst. Take care, and God bless you all. Bye bye.